everyone, this is Ramanan. Today we're gonna see the sculpting of Taskmaster from Black Widow. The pose is actually simple, but there are a lot of details in the costume. As usual, we're starting from the headpiece of the sculpture. The character is gonna have a sword and a shield, which I'll be using chart, a 300 GSM chart for the sword, and for the shield, I'm just gonna use clay itself. I'm using turquoise colored polymer clay from Nara. It's a 55 gram pack. I'll be using the same color for most of the figurine. I'll be using black colored clay for the shoes and a little bit of patchworks here and there. So as we work on the headpiece, I have left the hoodie part for now, which I'll get back to it later on. We'll first finish off the legs and the midsection and then the arms, and probably give some detailing for the leg part. And after that I'll work on the shoes. So a small update from my side is I've really given a long gap between my sculptures. My last sculpture was in January, I guess. I'm not sure. So the reason was I was a little held up with few other works. I was up to a art stall work and all, up to a lot of acrylic painting works, and since I've done all that, it's done now. So I'm back to sculpting. I'll be sculpting a few more for the next 2 weeks or something. I hope it will be a continuous schedule, because the hardest part about sculpting is the physical strain after each sculpture, and the kind of motivation that requires to do a clay sculpture is something else than doing a acrylic painting or a sketching work and all, because it almost takes a full day to complete sculptures. Of course, if it's a simple one, a simple character, you're just gonna take a few hours to finish it, but characters like Taskmaster and all, with all of those details, it will take a lot of time. I particularly took 2 days for this. I could have finished it within a day, but I felt I have to split my work once and see how it feels like, because when you work for more than 8 hours and 9 hours on a single sculpture, the physical strain is gonna be carried on to the next day also, which I didn't want to go through, because if there is gonna be a wrist pain in the next day, you really can't do any other kind of art also, because you need the wrist strength to do a acrylic painting or sketching work, and you'll have to mandatorily give that day break in between sculptures. So I thought of extending my art making endurance. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. So I thought I'll just finish some 60% or 70% of the sculpture on the first day, and then work on the minor details on the second day. So as you see now, these works were all done on the first day itself. And since it's been a really long gap, like 2 to 3 months in between my sculpting work, I kind of struggled a little bit when starting the sculpture, because I took a little bit of extra clay than required, which I usually won't do, because what will happen is we'll end up cutting the clay here and there on the sculpture, and which is actually not a comfortable thing to do, because you'll constantly have to reshape it. Each cut is gonna make a sharp edge here and there, which you'll have to smoothen out again and again. But the clay didn't have much of air bubbles in it when conditioning, because air bubbles are gonna be a really hard thing to get over when you try to condition the clay. You'll constantly see those lumps of air pockets in it. So here, coming back to the sculpture, I have been working with the shoes. As you can see, the black clay was actually conditioned during my previous sculpture when working with Assassin's Creed. So the clay was way softer than I expected it to be, and when your clay is actually too soft, you will definitely not get those stiff edges and all at places, because in shoes the top part of it was supposed to be much more stiff, but due to the softness of the clay, I couldn't get it to the right kind of stiffness. So yep, and from there I'm working on the leg paddings. These paddings are gonna get some paint job after it's been baked, so for now it's just gonna be the same color mostly. And from the paddings I'm working on the hoodie finally. The hoodie part, I had to give it a second round to get it right. For first time, I didn't take enough clay, so I had to work on it once again. I'm using those, what do you call those, manicure scissors or something, the scissors that you get in that box with nail cutters and all. So I've used those scissors for that, because a big one is obviously not gonna be sufficient for this work. And from there we're doing all those minor detailing works, and then the belt of the character is gonna come over now. So the belt didn't have much of detailing in it. There were very small minute details which I couldn't get with the clay tool, so I just did as much as I could. And then there were some strap works on the shirt of him, which I should have used clay, but I thought I'll just use the clay tool to get it, just look like there is straps over there. And then the shoulder pads and the backpack sort of a thing was actually demanding a lot of shaping in it, because shoulder pads are actually easy, but in this character the shoulder pads are a little bigger than usual, so that was something new to work with. And from there we're moving on to the chest paddings. There is some 2 to 3 layers to it, and it also has a lot of minute detailing to it, which I've just used my sculpting tool to get it right. And from there is this scarf sort of a thing for him, which I've used silver clay, but it actually looks like gray color after you bake it out, so I'm gonna repaint it with silver color once it's being done. So from there I'm working on his gloves and using the same colored clay for it. There isn't a second color as far as I know. And talking about Taskmaster itself, I kind of felt they could have used the character a little bit more in the film, because it's a fresh character. There is a lot of detailing to the costume and all, but the way they've used it was, it was fine, but a little bit more of action was expected. So I hope they make a series or something with Taskmaster, or make Taskmaster in another movie like Spider-Man or something in future. Who knows? Maybe Taskmaster and who do you call that? Black Widow's sister. A clash in between these characters would look cool in the films in the future. So from there, coming back to the sculpting work now, I've used the chart paper for the sword, and then I'm using clay, black clay for the shield. I've cut it out using a soft drink can so for the shape. And after that we're baking it in the oven for 100 degrees Celsius. I timed it to 15 minutes, I guess. Yeah. And after the baking, we're up to the paint job now. Finally, I felt phthalo blue itself would look good, but I had to mix it with a little bit of titanium white and ultramarine to give it a much proper color to it. So from there I've used silver color to the scarf, to the hoodie, a few detail to the shoulder pads and all. The silver had to give it a second coat to it, which I still didn't feel good, so I mixed a little bit of titanium white to it also. And the face had a lot of silver to it, and there was a little bit of orange paint here and there, which really stood out to the whole costume, because you can see here it's full of just dark colors to it. And the orange paint actually made the character come alive. So from there I gave a silver coating to the sword. The sword painting, I should have done the painting first and then put it in the oven for baking, but this is also fine. It will stay stiff. I didn't even have to give it a hair dryer to get it dry, because the temperature is really hot here right now in Chennai. Yep. So yeah, you can see the orange colors finally to it. And then I started working on the shield. The shield, I painted it with silver, 2 to 3 layers of silver. You can see those tiny air pockets in it. That usually happens when you bake a really slim layer of clay like that. So I try to avoid it as much as possible, but I don't know, it keeps happening after every shield I work with. And from there we're painting the wooden base with grey paint, and I'm sticking over the shield to him using flex glue. And there we are, Taskmaster finally done. It was really worth figuring to give a comeback finally, and I really hope I'll be working on another character tomorrow itself, probably Moon Knight. I think I've spoiled it, but fine. I'll see. I'll probably work it tomorrow. The shield looks too awful. Oh my god. Yep, it looks good. So please subscribe to my channel. Please check out my social media links in the description box below, and please let me know what you feel about the sculpture. Thank you.